Hello, I'm Waverly Hanson, and I'm coming to you today from beautiful Castle Rock, Colorado. It's just south of Denver, Colorado, in case you haven't heard of Castle Rock before. And tonight I will be continuing from where I stopped last time with Go with the Flow, Live and Let Live. This is part B. What does it really mean to say go with the flow, live and let live? How do you handle it when someone disagrees with you very strongly on your point of view or on the way that you do things? What are some of your feelings? What are some of your thoughts? And how do you react? It's often hard to handle it when it's coming from someone that we feel cares about us, someone that we're close to. And we're going to continue now. And I'm going to read what I had finished off with on part A. And I asked if you've ever found yourself saying or thinking things like, what in the world why in the world would you think that? That's crazy. That's not even logical. What's wrong with you? That doesn't make any sense at all. These statements are bad enough to hear from someone who loves us, but they're even worse because our tone of voice often is, how could you be so stupid as to think or do that? Nobody likes to be put down. It's very, very easy to feel that way when this happens. I want to share with you a story. It's kind of funny, but it's also kind of sad. So many times when a couple comes in to see me, the wife or sometimes the husband will say something like, I have to do everything around the house. I feel like everything is up to me. And I work a full-time job too. I just can't keep up with it all. It's just not fair. Often the husband, if it happens to be the husband or the wife, will say something like throwing up their hands, either literally or just figuratively, and say something like, you know what? I have tried to help out many, many times, but every time I do, I can never do it right. I can never please you. Nothing I do seems to be okay. So I just gave up. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you, but I'd like to share with you a pretty simple fix. And I found that this works with most couples. And it can be kind of humorous. So if we can keep the humor in it, of course, that makes it better. If you truly want help, either one of you, please decide beforehand which tasks you really need to hang on to because you are convinced that the way you do it is the only right way to do it. And you're unwilling to accept any other way. If that is true, that's a task that you need to hang on to yourself. You need to keep it. For example, some people have a thing about folding towels, and they think there's only one right way to do it. And of course, as everybody knows, there really is not just one way, not one way to fold towels, but it may be one way that you like to have the towels folded. And so that would be just an example of how ridiculous sometimes we get about people doing things our way, the right way, of course, quotation marks. So think about that. If you have a task that you really want done a certain way, it sounds like it's a good task for you to hang on to. You may be able to let go of some other things, just being glad they're done, however that person does it. The couples that I've had that have done that sometimes have been able to laugh about it, been able to kind of make fun of themselves, and but be much more peaceful about it and get along a lot better. Some people even argue about how the countertops get wiped off. Should they be wiped from the back to the front or the sideways? How should they be done? It gets kind of ridiculous sometimes. And if you can look at yourself that way, you're like, oh yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter. It sure solves a lot of problems if we allow others to simply be themselves. Many things are really not that important, but if they are, and some of them may be, you get to decide. Some of you know about the stages of marriage, And how sad it is that many couples don't ever reach the fourth and fifth stage, but they give up and get a divorce over some things that are really not that important. And a lot of times it's because we're trying to change the other person, change them to be like us. When we can get to the point where we accept each other instead of trying to change each other, it brings so much peace and so much enjoyment to the relationship. It's really wonderful how different we can feel toward each other when we just give that up. And when we realize that's what we're trying to do, why would we want the other person to be a carbon copy of us? This is, of course, assuming that there's not abuse of any kind. That's an entirely different category. Here are a few lines that may come across more kind and be easier to accept. I'm not sure I get it. Can you help me understand? And then a couple questions to ask yourself. Is what I'm about to say going to bring us closer to each other, or is it going to push us further apart? The other one that is very helpful, is this going to matter next week? Excuse me. Is this going to matter next week or next month? If not, is it really that big a deal? This does not mean that you should never have an opinion of your own or state your own opinion. Those of you who read my writings and have worked with me before, you know that I'm all about people stating and asking for what they need and being able to set healthy boundaries with each other. But there are some things that really just are not that important. This is a very challenging subject, and I would love to hear your email responses and what's working for you and your marriage. Or if you have any questions you'd like to submit, we'd love to hear from you. I really do try to respond to every email I receive. And if you're willing to share your ideas with others, we can include those in future emails. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I do wish you all the best on your marriage journey. Signing off for now. I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.